This video is a quick first impressions type video on Evolution's newly released 36 volt, I nearly said 18 volt then, 36 volt double bevel sliding mitre saw. Like I say, it's newly released. I've done both the 18 volt versions and I was really impressed with the overall quality of those, and this is supposed to be a step up from the 18 volt versions. I've seen a couple of videos and I've got to say it does look pretty impressive, so I'm looking forward to getting this out of the box, seeing it up close. This was sent to me for the purposes of the video. I'm not being sponsored or paid to say nice things. I will be giving my honest opinion as I normally do. So we'll get it out the box, put it together. We'll do some close-ups, run through the features, specifications, all that malarkey like we usually do. And then to finish off, we'll do a few test cuts. Right, so this is their loaded version. Comes with two, I think, either 4 or 5 amp hour batteries, 5 amp hours, so you get two of those, a double charger I believe, and the saw itself. So out the box you get your usual instructions. Now normally the instructions in these books are fairly detailed and easy to understand. I know some instructions are absolutely terrible. Got the Evolution's famous multi-material blade. This will cut a variety of different materials: steel, aluminium, wood, plastic. And the top of the box you get your batteries, the extra clamp that sticks out the front to hold, like if you're doing a pipe or anything like that, you'll see this got a round bit on it which you can hold that in place while you cut it. The usual dust bag with the spring connector on. Comes as standard with most of Evolution's tools, the dust port adapter to plug it into your vacuum. Handle for the front. Rails. And this does come, I mean it's plastic, it's heavy duty plastic, but it is a little flexible. Blank, no slot, so you can make your own zero clearance insert, which I think is quite a good idea. That is all that comes in the top part. Here is the double charger. Now we get the main saw itself. So this is your motor. Looks really nice. I do like the colour scheme on this. That's where the batteries go. Put that down there for a minute. And the last thing in the box, or last few items, here's your little side tables, your normal clamp, and then hopefully I can get this out with one hand. Oh, actually that's really light. I thought that was going to be heavier than that. That feels really light actually. That is your base. Now straight off the bat, this is definitely an improvement. First thing I've noticed is the chunky, all metal marker gauge. You'll see that it's got the slots in it, And obviously you've got all the different screws which you loosen, and you can slide this whole thing backwards and forwards to set it up, which really good. I really like that. So that's what comes in the box. So I'm going to put it together and we'll have a closer look at it. Okay, so let's assemble the saw. You'll notice I've already fitted the 2 side extension tables. The bolts that hold them in place are already fitted in situ. Using the onboard Allen key, just undo those, put these on, do it up. Nice and simple. Then the knob at the front, and I'm talking about this one, not this one. That just goes in the front. Just tighten that into position. Get your rails. There will be a little bit of grease on here, just to be aware of. And make sure this is in the unlocked position or you won't get them through. They should just slide through. Once you get them through, just lock that, holds that in place while you put the rest of it on. And this should be straightforward. Just pushes on, locates in those 2 holes there. And you've got pins on the side of the rails, which just pop out once you've located it in place. You might need to just jiggle it a little bit just to get it in, and then once you've got it on, it should just lock in place. You'll know when you've got it in far enough because the pins should pop out like so. You should hear those, and then just check to make sure that both sides are actually located in the right place and that the pins have popped out. Then you can loosen that, and that is that. So that's the majority of the saw, well, all of the saw put together minus the clamps. So what I'm going to do now is fit the blade. So lift this up, give us all the room we need. We can lift that out the way. Now there's arrows on the blade and there's arrows on the saw, so only a complete dummy you can get this on the wrong way. So remove this. This is a left-handed thread, so righty is not tighty, right is the undo, and then to tighten it up it's anti-clockwise. Put your blade in place. Be careful not to slice your hand off in the process. Make sure your blade is located on the centre properly. Then you can get your centerpiece. And this flange has got flat sides on it. Make sure when you put it on that you turn it round until it locates in the correct spot, because if you don't do that it looks like it's on, but you'll do this up and the blade will still be loose. Do that up hand tight, and then all you've got to do, press the arbor lock on the rear side of the blade, and then you can take your onboard Allen key and just nip that up, and that is that. Good to go. So depending on how observant you are, you might have noticed that I had a problem with the saw guard not actually retracting as I pushed the head down, and I managed to sort it out. I'm not sure how it even happened, but in here, attached down where the spring is, where it pivots, there's a slightly curved bar that comes up with a metal bearing on the end, and it sits between this guard and the housing on the cover, and that is what pivots the blade. And somehow mine had actually come completely out and was just kind of flopping around loosely at the top. So whether they missed that during the quality control at the factory, or whether it's just managed to come out somehow during shipping, I don't know. But luckily for me, it was an easy fix. Took me about 5 minutes to actually work out where the bar was meant to be, but all's well that ends well. It now pivots as it should. Okay, so let's just go over the saw close up. So start off with the basics. To slide it, just twist this knob. That allows you to slide the rails. To unlock the head of the saw, just push down slightly, pull this knob out, and that allows you to pivot the head. Down here, this is your lock and unlock knob to tighten it up in position. Now you've got these on the side, and you've got one either side. So with them like this, when you press the button down, you can turn it to whatever one you want, and it will click into all the different angles. But if you just want it to free move all the way without stopping at all the different angles, if I press this button in and put them round like that, that means I can basically slide it round without it locking into any specific angle. And then to release that, just press that and flick them back to that position, and then that will automatically lock in at the set positions. Take a close look at the scale. You'll see that this is actually a separate plate, and it's not aluminium, it's made of steel, which is a lot more durable, which means these aren't going to wear out anytime soon, and it makes for much better adjustment because it's got 2 screws this side, 2 the other side. You just slacken them off, and it allows you to slide this whole plate in order to set it up accurately. And you can also move this by undoing that screw. Moving around to the back of the saw, this knob, and you've got one either side, just releases the fence and allows you to slide the top part of the fence both sides. Important to do that, especially when you're beveling the saw over, because if you don't move the fence and you tilt it one way or the other, you're liable to cut into this. Now, of course, I've never done that, so no need to ask me how I know that. Tighten it up, just do the knob up, and that locks that nice and securely. And you'll notice that the fences are quite chunky and reasonably high, which is good. Then you've got a bit to put the clamp in either side. It's the same both sides. You've got these plastic knobs which just hold the clamp in place, and then you can either put either side, that just sits in like that. You can wind it manually, or just press the trigger and that allows you to quickly adjust it. And you can undo this one and move the entire clamp itself. Fairly straightforward. Then you've got this extra clamp here, which is to hold the workpiece against the fence. Again, you can use it both sides. Just put it in them slots and then adjust it accordingly. One thing I will say is don't put too much pressure on it against the fence, because I'm not sure whether it would be possible to actually push this out of alignment if you put too much force in it, or you could break the clamp. So just take it easy. On the back, you've got position to keep the onboard Allen key so you don't lose it, and that just fits in there nice and securely, which is good, so you're not going to lose that. And just bear in mind when you're using these clamps, you've got to be careful because you can't always tilt the saw to its maximum angles with the clamps in place. So on the side, you've got your usual depth stop. So you can either use the saw as normal and cut all the way through, but if you want to put like a housing joint, dado, whatever you like to call them, slot, in your workpiece, then you just pull that lever down, and then you can adjust the top nut however you want that adjusted, and then adjust this to whatever height you want it at. Knock this bottom one off, that just puts it in place so it doesn't move, and then when you bring the saw down, it hits that bracket and will only go a certain depth, so you won't cut through, and that way you can put your slot in there. Now if you're looking to bevel the saw, you've got your main lock lever at the back, so we just unlock that, and then you've got this dial at the front or knob, just pull that out, and then you can tilt the saw to whatever angle you want. Now if you release it, let go of it, it will pop into certain locations. So do it the other way so you can see it. You've got 22.9 or 22.5, and it will automatically lock in, and then just release it again, and then let go of it, and then it will lock into 33.9, and then you pull it out again and let go of it, it will go to 45. If you want it to go past 45, because this scale goes up to 48 degrees, then just pull it out, hold it out, and it'll go all the way. So yeah, if you want to go from 45 right back to 0, just hold it out, let go of it just before you get back to 0, and then it will lock in at 0. And if you want it to lock in at different, release it, and then just let go of it, and it'll automatically lock in to the preset angles. So that's a nice feature, and it's double bevel, which means it will bevel left and right. Now you've got various adjustments on this as well. You've got the scale, you've got the dial. I'm not sure if that's adjustable. It looks like it is. There's a little screw at the back, so there's slight adjustment on the actual indicator itself. Then you've got 2 screws this side, you've got 2 screws the other side, there's also 2 at the back. Now you'd have to refer to the manual to what does what. That's basically how you make your minor adjustments to get it sitting either at bang on 90 degrees to the bed of the saw, or dead on 45. So your handle is ambidextrous, so it can be used quite easily with your right or left, and if you don't press the safety catch, the trigger will not pull. If you push this to the left, then you can pull the trigger, but it's so easy to use. You can either do it with your left hand with your little finger and pull it down nice and easy, or do it with your right hand and use your index finger. So whether you're right-handed or left-handed, it's so easy to do. So I really like that design. Feels comfortable in the hand as well. So I think that covers the basic features on the saw. So let's put some batteries in it and let's see what she sounds like. So it's got soft start and electronic blade brake. That's a tongue twister. Electronic blade brake. Electronic blade brake. Soft start and electronic blade brake. Why can't I say that? Electronic blade brake. Soft start and electronic blade brake. Blah. You know what I mean. So yeah, that's really good as well. Doesn't stop instantly, but it is fairly quick. And it's not too loud either. Nice. Another thing I like about this saw, and don't worry, I'm not going to cut into my zero clearance insert, just using that for a demo, If I pull the trigger, you'll see it's got the shadow line technology. So instead of a laser marking out where your blade is going to cut, you've got the light which is directly above the blade, so it produces a nice crisp shadow line on your workpiece, and that is exactly where your blade is going to hit. So much better, works even in the sun, whereas the lasers are just terrible and tend to be absolutely useless. This is actually really good. So another great improvement on their later saws. Right, just in case there's anyone that wants to know the rough dimensions of the saw. So you're looking at width-wise, it's roughly a little over 30 inches or 77 centimetres. Height-wise, with the saw locked down, you're looking at about just below 18 inches or about 45 centimetres. And then from the back of the saw to the front of the handle, you're looking at roughly about 38 inches or 97 centimetres, give or take a few. So it is quite a big saw, but for the size of it, I wouldn't say it's that heavy, because if you need to lift it up to carry it, it's fairly light to carry for a big saw. Okay, so I'm going to do a few test cuts on this scrap wood. This has actually been out in the garden for ages, it's soaking wet, so let's see how she does. Very clean cut. Little bit of tear out, but this is wet and it's a multi-material blade, but overall it doesn't produce a bad cut at all. That is quite impressive. If you put a dedicated wood blade in there, that'd be lovely. Let's just see how square it is. Well, I can show you on camera. That's perfect. And I've not even calibrated that. Straight out of the box. Once again, perfect. Every one of these saws I've ever tried has been perfectly set up right out of the box. I've got some screws in the end there and some nails. Not a problem. But I knew it'd be like that anyway. So some of you might remember this material. It's that hotel skirting board that I salvaged a few years ago. I actually done my French cleats out of this. It's a bit harder than the normal framing timber, and it's got this hard coating on it which normally chips off. This board's a bit twisted. Good thing about these stands though is that you've got the rollers on, so you can easily support the wood and move it. So let's cut this and see how it does. Well, that is impressive. How clean is that? It's not even chipped this coating off. And that's with a multi-material blade on. So with a dedicated wood blade, that would be even better. Very nice. So this is 6.5 inches. So I'm going to try. I don't think it will quite get through this, but we're going to try. See how far through this I can get. You're supposed to be able to do a 6x2 on its edge, but I don't think it's going to make it all the way through being 6.5. Oh, did that just make it all the way through there? Wow, I didn't think I was going to get all the way through that. 6.5 inches. Oh, that surprised me. Again, nice clean cut. Alright then guys, so that's that. I know it wasn't the most in-depth test cutting that I've done, but I already know that these saws are more than capable of cutting through multiple materials. There's hundreds and hundreds of different videos of people chopping through all different materials. If you want to see this particular saw put through its paces, there's a channel, I think it's named after the guy that's got the channel. I think it's Doherty. I'll leave a link in the video description. He mainly does like tool repairs and things like that. The guy's a genius. He can like sometimes pick up a tool and know what's wrong with it within seconds, and then he strips it down, tells you what's wrong with it, and then shows you how to put it all back together again. So if you're like me and you like messing around with stuff, then I'll leave a link to his channel in the video description. Definitely go and check it out. He's just reached 100k and he's definitely worthy of it, because the guy's a genius when it comes to fixing tools. So regarding the saw, really impressed with it. It cuts square, straight, right out of the box. I've never had a problem with any of these saws, even the old little one that I bought years ago. They were all bang on, like 90 and 45, perfectly out of the box. So that is really impressive. I know some people have had to make adjustments, but I've been lucky obviously, and I've never had to make adjustments, and same with this one. So that's really good. My Hokoki, the little one I bought, all right, that was only cheap, but I had to mess around with that. That took a little bit of finagling to try and get that level and square, but this, don't have to worry about it. So overall, really nice saw, cuts really well. If you're only cutting timber like I'm gonna do, then it would definitely be worth getting a dedicated wood blade for it, and then it would cut spot on. Although with the multi-material blade, I mean, it's new at the moment, so that helps, but I was quite impressed with the cuts it made. I mean, nice clean cuts, minimal tear out, and bearing in mind that 2x4 that I was cutting is soaking wet, because it's literally been sat out in the garden in the rain. So it handled that really well. The capacity, I didn't think when I put the skirting board on its side at 6.5 inches that I'd actually cut all the way through it. So that surprised me. So yeah, the capacity is quite good. Even with the multi-material blade, the cuts are decent. Can't say how it would be once you've cut like metal a few times. That was the other thing, I cut through those screws and the brad nails without any problem whatsoever. So these multi-material blades are absolutely worth their weight in gold, because if you do hit a nail or something, then it's not going to damage your blade. That's one reason I actually like these saws, because when you're working with like salvage materials, you can check it as much as you like, but you never know whether you're going to miss one. I did that on my Titan planer, checked a board, didn't use the magnet, and I went through and I actually chipped the blade because there was a nail that actually snapped off in it that I didn't see, and I had to replace the blades on that. So with something like this, it doesn't matter whether you hit a nail, so all good. So overall, really impressed with it. I think my discount code is still valid if anyone's looking to purchase anything off the Evolution website. It gives me a tiny kickback, but nothing I'm going to get rich off anytime soon. But it's Grumpys, all in capitals, GRUMPYS, and you'll get 5% off, and I think that's across their entire range of products. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. If you're still watching and you've made it to the end of the video, then thanks for that. I'm sure most of you fell asleep ages ago, but if there are any that are kind of still there watching, I appreciate it. You'll see me soon. I've got lots of ideas coming up in the workshop as far as storage solutions for the workshop. I've got to build a workbench, which I've currently got a rough design in my mind. I'm just kind of finalising a few details. Then I can get the materials, work out how much it's going to cost. So there's lots to do. I've also bought some new tools, which I've paid for out of my own money, which I probably do a first impressions video on. So they will be coming up. So lots to look forward to moving forward. Like I've said before, apologies for the lack of content on the channel, but it's been a really strange and hard couple of years. But I do guarantee you that at some point I will be back into a more regular upload schedule. Hopefully this is the start of things to come. So as always, thanks for your continued support, and until the next video, stay safe, and you will see me in the next video. Cheers for watching, guys. That'll do.